We're here with you to wrap up our unit. We have our test on Wednesday, and I'm going to stall while I calibrate this because this is in pretty rough shape. Test on Wednesday, practice test tomorrow. We started PO24 before our couple extra days off. We're going to finish it today, but really, the goal obviously was not to have 9 days from when we almost finished it. We're supposed to have our test before break. It didn't happen. So it's really going to depend on you to prepare, study well. The good news is, originally it was going to be a try 1 grade. Now it's going to be a try 2 grade. So you will have all of try 2 to do any retakes that you need to do from this test. So if you do, horrible on it, at least you've got to try to fix it instead of like 2 days to fix it. So there is a silver lining there. Yes, sir.
What is the merch coming up?
Merch is on hold. Have not made any further advancements with that. Yes.
So you didn't make the sweatshirt?
The prototype is in process. I'm glad though that our minds are in the right place, thinking about merch instead of sulfur and form. This unit did have a lot of POs in it. And just remember that POs are required for you to pass. It's easier to pass on the test than on the back end than your practice work and retakes. So come prepared, take a help sheet. We'll go with that. Anyway, so let's kind of recap this quickly. Slope versus form. Slope versus form. What is it, Alex? Not just mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Okay. And in slope versus form, we'll start with m. What does m represent in slope versus form? Bryn. The slope. The b variable represents the Jack.
Intercept.
The Y-Intercept, although today we call just the Y-Intercept. Time changes. PO24 is where we really started, though, to look at how we can use x and y. And so what do those x and y variables represent in the equation, Aiden?
Y is the y value of n ordered.
Damien? Okay. The y variable is the y value of any ordered pair on the line. You should already have these notes written in. And the x variable would then be the x value of any ordered pair on the line. Okay? And we found that, if you come with your notes from last Friday, we found that we needed that information to help us write the equation in slope versus form. Because all you need to write an equation in slope versus form is a value for m and a value for b, right? How you find those things, though, depends on what information is presented to you, okay? And using the equation to oftentimes really solve for that b value. So, what do you need to know for the test? I might give you the slope and the y-intercept just straight away. Slope is 5, y-intercept -3. We did that one together, so let's go to the next one. Slope of -2, y-intercept of 8. What's the equation of slope versus form? Noah?
Y equals -2x plus 8.
Yeah, just plug those things in, right? All you need is the slope and the y-intercept. If they're both given to you, just plug them in and you're done. I don't know why I left you so much space there to work, because there is no work to be shown. Okay? -2 for m, 8 for b, and then we're good to go. And that's the end of that. And warning for you, sir. Okay? There are other times when I'll give you information such as this. Slope of -4/3 passes through 0, -10. What do you think? Yeah, Kylie.
Y equals -4/3 x minus 10.
Y equals -4/3 x minus 10. How'd you know that -10 went in that spot?
Because the
Because the x
x value of the ordered pair is 0.
value of that ordered pair is 0. It's as if I told you what the y-intercept was by making that x value 0. Okay? So on your test, these are the gimme points. These are the ones that please don't get wrong because it gets harder from here. Okay? If I give you the information straight away, the slope and the y-intercept, whether it's written out or kind of disguised, okay, all you gotta do is plug them in. Max.
If I wrote like y equals negative 4/3 x plus negative 10, would that still be right?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
Yes. Okay? Where things get fun and where things get mathematical here, okay, is the second page. To where I give you information, but it's not quite enough to get a slope intercept form in one step. We did the first one together. Let's look at the second one here. Okay, slope of -9 passes through -4/35. Why can't you put, and this is, I promise you this will happen. Why can't you just put -9x plus 35 there? Why doesn't that work in this case, Aiden?
Because the x value isn't 0.
Because it's not the y-intercept, okay? It's some ordered pair that's on the line, but it's not the y-intercept. And you know that because of that x value of -4. Your slope is -9 though, so that part's done. How do we get b? How do we get b? And this is what we introduced this last Friday. We're going to cover it more in depth today. Sophie, how do we get that b value?
Plug in x and y.
Okay, here's where knowing what x and y represent is important, right? The x and y variable in slope intercept form represents the x and y values of any ordered pair that's on the line. -4/35 is on the line, right? So if our goal is to write this in slope intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, we know what m is. That's -9. And because I gave you that ordered pair, you also have a value for y, 35, and for x, -4. Okay? And now that you've got 3 of the 4 variables, now it's just become solid. Right? Any questions how I got this line here, that 35 equals -9 times -4 plus b? Okay, so from here, just solve it. 35 equals 36 plus b, multiply -9 and -4. Subtract 36 from both sides to get b by itself, and we get a value of -1. 35 minus 36.
I'm so confused.
On how I did what?
Everything.
Do you understand how I got this?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not going to use on everything, right? So let's pick it up from here. Okay, once you plug in those values for x and y, it becomes just an equation to solve here. I'll rewrite this up here so I've got some more room to show all of my steps here. But if our goal is to solve for b, that means we've got to move everything away from b, right? Move it the other side of the equation. My first step is going to be to simplify that multiply. -9 times -4.
Now I get it.
Positive 36. Okay? Then you go to your railroad tracks or opposite operations, however you want to explain it. Subtract 36 from both sides, and we get -1 as a value.
Oh.
Yes.
What if you did -36 and then once you do the opposite plus 36?
Here's the thing though, it's not a -36. It's a -9 times a -4. That'll give you the positive 36. Okay? So our final answer, which this is not our final answer here, right? Because our directions are to write the equation in slope intercept form. Our final answer would be y equals -9x minus 1. Okay? We don't plug in -4 and 35 in for x and y in our final answer, because this is the general equation of the line. We don't want to focus on this one ordered pair here. We want to keep it general. We do plug in that -9 and that -1. Right? I always get questions on what if your slope is a fraction, right? It makes things just kind of, for some reason, more complicated. Your process is the same, though, right? We're given m. We're given a value for x and a value for y. So in our equation, y equals mx plus b, we're just going to be replacing y with -5, m with our slope of 3/4, and x with 8. And we're solving for b. Same thing we did on the last one. Okay. And so the complication, if you want to call it that, comes in multiplying this 3/4 times 8. You can use a calculator on the test, but how can you do this mentally? 3/4 times 8. How can that be a mental calculation, Max?
If you like just put 1 under the 8 and then you can just like multiply the fraction.
Sure.
together.
You could think about it as 3/4 times 8 over 1, right? And multiply it straight across. How else could you do it, Kylie?
You can simplify the 8 and the 4.
Yeah, if you do this, you could then simplify down. That would work too. How else could you do it, Claire?
Well, like 1/4 of 8 is 2, so you could just do 2, 2, 2, and that's 6.
Yeah, if you think about this as not 3/4 times 8, but 3/4 of 8, 1/4 of 8 would be 2, and you want 3 of them. So 3 2s give you 6. Okay? Or doing it this way, 24 divided by 4 equals 6, or simplifying out 2 and 1, 3 times 2 is 6. Either way you do it, you get 6. Okay? But it's that fraction that tends to throw people off. But there are several ways. I think, yeah, calculator, that'll work too.
Is that 6 plus 6?
It's a 6 plus a b. I try to make this curved and this straight, but I don't know. 6 plus a b. Okay. Move that 6 over using opposite operations. We get a b value of negative 11. And then our final answer here, y equals our slope of 3/4 times x and our b value of negative 11. Okay. Questions on that style? Because it gets better. It gets
Better or worse?
No, better. Okay. The next batch, we did this first one last week or 2 weeks ago, or however long it was. What was different about this section here? What was different about it? Ellen?
It was in. You had to convert it when it was in a chart form.
Okay, so this relation is given to you as a table. I don't tell you what the slope is. I don't tell you what the y-intercept is. So in this case, we're left to solve for both of them. We have to find the slope on our own, and then we have to find the y-intercept on our own as well. How do we do it? Alex,
I know how to find the slope.
tell me.
But you see the relationship between 4 and 6? Add by 2.
Yeah.
6 and 8 is add by 2.
Yeah. Remember, when we're given a relation, how we can identify slope is by looking at that change in y over the change in x, right? The change from -2 to +1 is up 3. The change from 4 to 6 is up 2. Okay? If we go down, change from 1 to 4 is up 3, 6 to 8 is up 2, 4 to 7 is up 3, 8 to 10 is up 2. Right? So the slope of this line is going to be what?
3 over 2.
3 over 2. Okay? Change in y over change in x. Change in y over change in x. If you forgot this here, what else could you do to find the slope? You do have another option. Sophie?
Slope formula.
You could use the slope formula, right? Pick your favorite 2 ordered pairs, x1, y1, plug them in, okay? And you could get the slope that way also. How do you get b? Good question. On the last one, in the spirit of Christmas, I gave you the y-intercept. It was kind of hidden there. I did give it to you. Here, I do not. Christopher, what do you do?
Take one ordered pair from it and
Yeah.
plug it into the
Does it matter which ordered pair you use?
kind of
Which one would you like?
6-1.
6-1. Very well. Okay. So once we get the slope, all 4 of these ordered pairs being part of the relation means they're on the line. So it doesn't matter which one you pick, because these x and y values can all be substituted in for x and y in the equation, and it's going to work. Okay. So to find our b here, give myself a little more space. Y equals mx plus b is what we're trying to find here. We know the slope, that's 3/2. Christopher wants to use 6-1, so we're going to replace 1 for y, 3 over 2 for m, 6 for x, and we're solving for b. Okay? First step, Damien,
3/2 times
which is what? 3/2 times 6, or 1.5 of 6, or 1 whole 6 and half of another 6. 9. Okay? So 1 equals 9 plus b. Subtract 9 from both sides to get b by itself, and we get -8. Matt.
I know you can't do this on all of them, but for this one, I found that if like you could add to the top of the table if you -2 and -3, and eventually you would get the y-intercept 0, 8.
Yeah, so Max is saying if you kind of continue this pattern going upward, if we're adding 2 by going down the table, that means if we're going up the table, we're subtracting 2. So our next ordered pair here would be 4 minus 2 is 2, -2 minus 3 is -5. Then you go up one more, 2 minus 2 gives us 0, which he's saying is important because that represents the y-intercept. And then -5 minus 3 would give us -8. 0, -8, the same thing that we got here. Okay? You're right. It's going to work better sometimes than others, but that is another option. Brilliant. Very good. Very good. If that went over your head, then don't worry about it. Okay? But it is another option. It's just using the pattern within the relation. Yes, sir.
On the third one, how do you do it? Well,
The third one's gonna be the same setup as the second one here.
you can't do it because there's no pattern.
There is.
What?
There
It goes
is.
from there. It goes from there.
Remember though, with this pattern, so -16 to -7 is up 9, right? -7 to +8 is up 15. 8 to 29 is up 21. Seems pretty sus, yes? But then you go from -5 to -2, that's up 3. -2 to +3 is up 5. 3 to 10 is up 7.
Oh, 2/6. I'm so smart.
Nope.
No, it's 6/2, Jack.
6/2, my bad.
Well, it's 3/4.
Okay. Where do you get 6/2 from?
The problem.
I mean, you're not wrong,
It's
but
simplified.
where does 6/2 come? How do you get there?
Sorry, 3/1.
Oh, okay, yeah. Simplest form, you want to use 3/1 or just 3. So, yeah, and again, be careful of this, right? We talked about this. Sometimes that pattern, if you're skipping ordered pairs, like these points are all right in a row. They're all consecutive points. These kind of jump around a little bit, but they still have that same 9 divided by 3, 15 divided by 5. They all simplify to be 3/1. Yeah.
I'm lazy, so I just pick one and do it. And
Yes.
The slope, and then I simplify.
So, in this objective, what Sophie's saying is that she doesn't bother. She just gets this first one, doesn't bother for the rest of them. You can do that here because you already know you're working with a linear equation. If you think back to when we first talked about this, back in CO21-ish, where you had to figure out if it was linear or not, then you have to do all of them. But you're right. In this case, since you already know it's linear, you don't have to go through all of them. It's a nice review, though. Okay? Anything else? Are we feeling comfortable?
Yeah.
If not,
Yes.
tell me where. Usually the challenge comes in like this step here, solving for the b, where to plug things in, where do I get my values from. If you're feeling confused, I mean, it's normal, right? But make sure you're asking about it. Yeah, Amy.
The second one where it just passes through.
The next section?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the answer for that one?
For this one?
Yeah.
We'll go over it tomorrow. I want you to try yourself.
It says divide,
Okay.
but
That's what I did.
Which one are you talking about? The second one here? Okay. So the last type that you'll need to know here is where I give you 2 ordered pairs that the line passes through. The only difference here is how you find your slope. How are you going to find the slope of a line that passes through 2 given ordered pairs? What's our method for that? Why?
X1 or x2 minus x1 and then y flip.
Only flipped, right? Yeah, you'll use this slope formula, right? So we're going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2, and we're going to take our y2 minus y1, 5 minus -7, and then x2 minus x1, -1 minus -4, which 5 minus -7 gives us positive 12. -1 minus -4 gives us a positive 3. And ultimately our slope ends up being 4. What?
None.
Okay. Questions? Okay. We got our M. How do we get the B? Got the M, Will?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you get positive 3?
-1 minus -4 is the same as -1 plus 4, which gives us positive 3. And the reason why it's minus a negative is because the subtraction sign comes from the formula. It's part of the formula. And since our x value here was negative, we have to include that also.
What about the negative for the 1?
So our first x value was negative, so we have to include that sign. We have to include the subtraction sign that's in the formula, and we have to include the negative sign on our second ordered pair. Okay, and so that's what we end up with. Yes.
For your question to find the y-intercept,
Yes.
use one of the ordered pairs and fill them in for x.
Does it matter which ordered pair you choose?
No.
No. Which one would you like to use? This one or that one?
Maybe, this one.
This one? All right. So using this ordered pair, we're going to plug -7 in for y, our slope of 4, -4 goes in for x, and we're going to solve for b. Same thing we did in the past two, right? Once you get the slope, solving for b is pretty consistent. Pick an ordered pair, plug it in, right? So -7 equals -16 plus b, 4 times -4. Add 16 to both sides to get b by itself, and we get a b value of 9. Had Arlene chose that ordered pair,
You still do the same thing.
we get the same answer, right? This time 5 goes in for y. We still have 4 as a slope. -1 goes in for x, and we're solving for b. 4 times -1 is a -4. Add 4 to both sides, and we still get 9. Okay? So it does not matter which ordered pair you choose because they're both on the line. They're both going to get you the same value for b. And so our final answer, let's use all 4 colors here. Y equals 4x plus 9. Okay?
Is that the answer for the top one?
That's the answer for yes. Yes. Sorry to confuse you. All right. Any other questions? Comments, concerns, complaints? Comments, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Your taste
Yeah. Your homework for tomorrow is to finish PO24. You only have like 4 of them left to do that we haven't covered yet. And then tomorrow is your practice test. Also a retake day. So if you've got practice work that you're working on, get it to me today to correct tonight. That'll make tomorrow go all that much smoother for you. And then test on Wednesday. And again, try 2 grade. Try 2 grade. Would it be fun if I bumped in this part, all these things, but toppling over?
Yeah.
I would laugh about it like a year from now, but at the time, it wouldn't be fun. Later.
That would be so funny.
All right, that is how you math.